Formalities can be less or more formal based on the manner in which they are presented. The key is to leverage the formalities because doing so will produce better quality results. I recommend that you view this slide several times and pause for a period in order to gain comfort with these recommended steps and practice them. Your introduction. This is a basic general introduction of yourself and your company to avoid any confusion as to who you are and who you represent. The positioning statement. This is a statement that sets the stage for the meeting. Quite often, this statement will be a reflection of what was said during the phone conversation to secure the meeting in the first place. It might begin something like this. As I mentioned to you on the phone, I was hoping to meet with you to discuss. By properly positioning the visit, you have removed any doubt as to why you are there, and you also have an opportunity to gain agreement from the prospect. A mutual agenda. The mutual agenda is a statement that suggests a win-win outcome if the meeting goes the way you expect and comes to a successful conclusion. By verbalizing this, you answer a very important question for the prospect, which is, what's in it for me? Stating your objectives. Stating your objectives at the beginning of the meeting removes any doubt as to why you are there and what you are hoping to accomplish. Now that it is on the table, you can ask for acknowledgement and proceed. Your objectives can be stated as part of your positioning statement or your mutual agenda. It's common to assume that if someone granted you permission to meet with them, then it is understood that your intention is to ask them questions. This is a misguided assumption. Sometimes the prospect is reluctant or unwilling to participate in the process. If you begin asking questions without any warning, they may put up barriers or shut down on you. People do not like to feel like they are being interrogated. Therefore, you need to give them fair warning at some point in the beginning of the meeting and ask permission to ask questions. After thanking them for agreeing to the meeting, I might say, I'm not sure if there's anything that we can do that might make sense or motivate you to make a change. In order to do so, I was wondering if you would be open to helping me out by answering a few questions. Once they agree, the path is cleared and you have the green light. If you do encounter barriers or resistance, here are some example questions that you could ask to break them down. Did you ever make a decision and afterwards wished you had put more thought into it? Have you ever been oversold or possibly undersold? Have you ever made a decision to purchase something and regretted making the decision afterwards because it wasn't the right solution or it failed to meet your expectations? Followed by, my priority is to help you think this through from all possible angles and then make the decision that you are perfectly comfortable with. If you are patient and deliberate in your approach, people will tell you what matters most and what it will take for them to buy. You can't lose by asking, listening, learning, and helping. As a trainer of facilitator-led sales training workshops, I've learned many valuable lessons. One of the most notable lessons that I learned was that some workshop attendees are reluctant participants. They show up with attitudes and preconceived ideas. They may even feel that they've been forced to attend. Even more dangerous are attitudes like, I already know this stuff, do this stuff, and could do a way better job of teaching this stuff. This guy isn't going to teach me a single thing. What a waste of my time. I have way better things to do with my day. The amount of time that I spent in the field doing sales of my own, tag teaming, or doing coaching calls with others, and from the number of hours invested in the classroom, I know one thing to be indisputable. The vast majority of salespeople have never learned what is taught in this module, and they definitely don't put these proven practices into action on a consistent basis. Therefore, to prove a point, I created a pre-workshop exercise with the following instructions. For this exercise, you will be paired up with another individual. There will be 2 roles assigned, and each person will be provided with their own set of unique instructions. Please read the instructions carefully before beginning. It is important that you do not ask the facilitator any questions. Role 1. Your partner knows that you have an image of a room setting. Do not show the image to your partner. Study the details of the image provided. Answer the questions asked to the best of your ability. Do not spoon-feed your partner with answers. Make them work for the information. When asked a closed control question, respond with a 1 or 2 word answer. Your partner may only ask a total of 5 questions. When they are finished, they must describe the room setting to the group without seeing the image. Keep it concealed until then. Let your partner know when you're ready to proceed. Role 2. Your partner has an image of a room setting. You may ask your partner a total of 5 questions. When you are finished, you will be asked to describe the room setting to the rest of the group. Let your partner know when you are ready to proceed. If you were role 2, what questions would you ask? What 5 questions would you have asked if you were in role number 2? Based on the instructions provided, what would you have learned about the room setting? If you are like the vast majority of people, you would have learned a very limited amount of information. Most of us are preconditioned to ask closed control questions, so in most cases, people will ask questions like, is there furniture in the room? Is there a chair or couch? What is the primary color of the room? Is there carpet? Are there any windows? And so on. The responses to these questions limit the amount of information gathered. At the end of it all, would you have been able to come anywhere close to describing the room? Going through this exercise is a huge eye-opener for people. In fact, I have seen workshop participants turn from a disengaged, disinterested state of mind to a totally engaged, intrigued state of attentiveness once they realize the magnitude of their misguided thinking. It is estimated that more than 80% of questions asked are closed questions. If your goal during a sales appointment is to acquire a maximum amount of quality information in the least amount of time, you must raise your consciousness regarding the application of questions. In this section, we will review different types of questions, define each, and provide a variety of examples. Now it is time to turn our attention towards the subject of questions. Questions are to a sales professional what tools are to a tradesperson. Everyone knows that when a tradesperson comes to your home to work on a project or do a repair job, they arrive with a truck full of tools. For each task, they have a specific tool that they use. Each tool has been designed for a purpose with efficiency, productivity, and ease of use in mind. Do you understand the tools in your toolbox? Are you using them effectively and gaining maximum impact with them? What is the definition of an open-ended question? When do we or should we use open-ended questions? What is the definition of a closed control question? When do we or should we use closed control questions? The definition of an open-ended question is a question that, when answered properly, forces the person responding to provide an expanded answer that has some information to it. Typically, a response that is greater than 2 words. When should we use open-ended questions? At the beginning of a meeting or a new topic. To establish rapport and get the prospect comfortable talking. When our goal is to uncover information. The definition of a closed control question is a question that, when answered properly, forces the person responding to provide a brief 1 or 2 word answer. For instance, yes, no, maybe, for sure, you bet, no way, etc. We should use closed control questions when we require a very specific response or to confirm a detail, to maintain or gain control of the conversation, at the end of the conversation or a topic. Here are some examples of how to frame open-ended questions. Tell me about the decor in the room setting. Please describe the furnishings in the room setting. Can you explain? Can you paint a picture of blank for me? Help me to better understand. Are you able to provide the details of? Would you clarify blank for me? Are you able to expound upon? I'm not familiar with blank. Would you educate me on it? Some of these open-ended questions are also examples of expanding questions. When developing your questions, here are some key topics that you should focus on in order to gather high-quality information that will significantly enhance your ability to provide a solution that wins the customer's business. Decision-making process, current situation, desired situation, competitive situation, success criteria, customer expectations, time constraints, budgetary issues, company politics. To get more comfortable with the use of different questions, pause the program and write out 5 open-ended and closed control example questions using the examples provided and the topic categories. Examples of open-ended questions for establishing rapport, trust, and credibility. How did you get involved in? What kind of challenges are you facing? What's the most important priority to you with this? Why? What other issues are important to you? What would you like to see improved? How do you measure that? Examples of open-ended questions for qualifying. If money were no object and you could wave a magic wand and create the ideal solution, can you describe what the remedy would look like or do for your business? What do you see as the next action steps? What is your timeline for implementing, purchasing this type of product or service? Examples of open-ended questions for information gathering. What prompted you to look into this? What are your expectations for this service? What process did you go through to determine your needs? How do you see this happening? What is it that you'd like to see accomplished? With whom have you had success in the past? Can you help me understand that a little better? What does that mean? How does that process work now? What challenges does that process create? What challenges has that created in the past? What are the best things about that process? What other items should we discuss? Write down the questions you find valuable. Commit them to memory. Practice them in your car. Print them. Tack them up near your phone. Practice them and use them until they become automatic for you. Whenever you meet with a seasoned business person, you will notice they skillfully control the flow of conversation and information because they ask the questions and therefore the meeting agenda, because he who asks the questions controls the conversation. This concludes step number 3 of the learning path. Please click on the green Next button with the white arrow in order to advance to the next step.